And ladies and gentlemen, our next session will be looking at SSP, State Safety Program, by Mr. Zainul Abidin Maslan, the COO for Civil Aviation Authority, who's joining us from Malaysia. Mr. Zainul, the mic is yours whenever you are ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be invited to this forum. Yeah. The title is State Safety Program, Impact on Business Aviation and General Aviation in Malaysia. Before I continue, just a little bit of background of myself. My name is Zainul, just call me Zainul. I'm Air Traffic Controller, formerly Director of ANS Standards Division. I'm involved in ICAO audit in Malaysia, both in 2005 and 2016, and also hold the USOP CMA auditor certificate. So back to the main title, SSP, Impact on BA and GA. Before I continue, what is SSP? ICAO requires under Annex 19 that state shall establish and maintain SSP that is commensurate with the size and complexity of the state civil aviation system. We are talking about size. How to measure size? And complexity, how complex we are. This is the latest data from ICAO. This data shows the scheduled departures for 2020. If we look at the screen, for Malaysia, total for 2020, we are in the 20th, top 20 position in the world. Of course, most of these aviation activities are located in North America, China, Japan, as well as in Europe. However, from this data, it shows that we are contributing a significant number of scheduled departures last year, as well as previous years that Malaysia always has been in the top 20 countries in the world. How about complexity? In terms of civil aviation, in Malaysia, when we talk about the 6 oversight areas in personnel licensing, flight operations, airworthiness of aircraft, air accident investigation, air navigation services, and aerodrome standards, we have covered almost all the ICAO standard and recommended practices are applicable here in Malaysia. In personnel licensing, we issue pilot licenses, aircraft engineer licenses, as well as air traffic control license. We also approve training organization, training devices, and we also have oversight on medical as well as language proficiency requirement. Under flight operations, we issue AOC, foreign AOC, ground handling, we issue approvals, we do oversight cabin crew, dangerous goods, as well as recently we have directive on drones. We have all these big airlines in Malaysia. We have hundreds of aircraft registered in our registry. These aircraft require airworthiness certifications. We approve maintenance organization, continuous airworthiness maintenance organization. We issue special approvals for aircraft, and we also have provision for design and manufacture of aircraft. If there are accidents, the Air Accident Investigation Bureau in MOT will conduct the investigation, as well as we handle the mandatory occurrence reporting as well as voluntary reporting. For air navigation services, we do oversight on the control towers, air traffic control centers all over. We do oversight on flight procedure design, charting, publication, communication, surveillance and navigation, including meteorology as well as search and rescue. Under aerodrome, we do certification of all aerodromes, international as well as domestic. So those are the complexity that need to be implemented under SSB in Malaysia. Now, what about SSB? By definition, SSB is an integrated set of regulations and activities aimed at improving safety. So what are these regulations? Okay. We promulgate Malaysia Civil Aviation Regulation. We issue directives, circulars and notices. So all these regulations are part of SSP. It's not only regulation regarding the obligation to implement safety management. And what are activities? The main activities under SSP will be safety oversight functions. Safety oversight functions is where we control the industry by certifying them. We issue certificates. Once we issue certificates, we have to conduct surveillance. We do surveillance by conducting audits, inspection, as well as monitoring their performance. Of course, before certifying, the industry need to prove that they can comply with the specific operating regulations in the form of those I mentioned earlier, the directives, circulars, as well as notices. If there are any non-compliance, the license holders, certificate holders need to do the corrective actions. If any violations, enforcement actions must be taken. So the main safety oversight functions form the basis of SSP. In addition to these elements, we have other elements on safety management obligations. This is where Annex 19 come in. Annex 19, where we transpose to CAD, Civil Aviation Directive 19, requires service provider, operator to implement safety management. If there are any accident, serious incident, this function, as I mentioned earlier, will be performed by the Air Accident Investigating Bureau under MOT. Next element, hazard identification and risk management. How we identify hazards? There are various methods to identify hazards. In the regulator side, we identify hazards through MOR, mandatory occurrence reporting, voluntary occurrence reporting. We also identify hazards through audits, inspections, surveillance. We receive air accident reports, recommendations, those are hazards. And we also have information exchange with neighboring countries, with ICAO, with ICAO regional office, that we can identify hazards. Safety performance monitoring. 3 accidents involving helicopters in Malaysia within last 6 months is not a good performance. That's why we conduct the safety awareness briefing, as mentioned by Yang Berhormat Menteri earlier. We conducted it last Monday. As part of this, creating awareness to improve safety. And last elements are promotions. CM has been conducting safety promotions through engagement with the industry. Before we publish the directives, regulations, there are engagement with industry players. As recent as last few months, where we conduct this engagement through the video conference. We also issue notice of proposed rulemaking, where we publish these draft directives and we receive feedbacks and we have forms for industry to give us feedbacks on these directives, on this proposed directive. In addition to that, we also publish advisory informations, posters, as well as videos. These are samples of our safety promotions. You can have these posters, videos in our website, in our social media account. Next, the main question, impact on BA and GA. What are the impact? Depending on your operations, your type of operations, this directive will be applicable to you. If you operate hire and reward, commercial, most of the directives are applicable. If you operate only as private or general aviation, only part of this directive are applicable. In addition to this directive, we also issue guidance material for the industry on how are they going to apply for these licenses, certificates, as well as approvals. As I mentioned, impact on BA and GA. So back to your where you are, how you operate. If you operate commercials, you must have the AOC. This has been mentioned by Captain Chester earlier. Once we give you approvals in the form of certificate, license, or permit, you are subject to surveillance. We will conduct audit on you. We will conduct inspection as well as we will monitor your performance. If there are any issues, there must be corrective actions in terms of complying to the requirements. If there are any violations, the enforcement actions must be conducted. As I mentioned earlier, under safety promotion, those information directives are available in our website. Please do visit us in our Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube channel. Thank you. Over to you, Alda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zainul. That's very interesting. I think this is one of the very first time openly we learn about SSP, the State Safety Program. Thank you very much. We'll now take a couple of questions from the audience.
Okay, thank you. We have two questions here. The first question is on data sharing among all industry players. Does CM has any plan to allow intercompany sharing of safety data? If yes, can you share the plan with us? Okay. In actual fact, we are already sharing some safety data among the industry players. For example, all these years, we have conducted a lot of investigations on occurrences. For example, TICAS, runway incursions, and the findings and the conclusion of these investigations has been shared with the industry involved. We can also share with other industry, but before sharing, we need to de-identify this data first. If any of the industry really want to share with this data from us, they can contact us and we can work around it. Second question. Business aviation and general aviation operators are small and find it difficult to have their own SMS system. Okay. Will CM allow for a national level SMS that can be subscribed by the operators? Okay. Under Annex 19, implementation SMS shall be commensurate with the size and complexity of their aviation activity. So if business aviation or small operators, we don't expect their SMS to be as big as the major airliners. As long as they have their SMS policy, they have the processes, they have the risk management system, this would be acceptable for the regulators. On the national level SMS, at the moment, we don't have any system for this. Not at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zainul. I hope that is clear to all of us. Okay, with no further question, once again, thank you very much, Mr. Zainul, for the presentation, for your time to be with us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you.